Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room live stream with myself, Tom, Kev, and Jay. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this lovely Monday evening where Liverpool find themselves still top of the Premier League after 8 game weeks. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and make sure you have your notifications on for all future streams and videos so that you never miss out as well. Lots of big news this week even today in the last 24 hours in relation to some contracts. We have updates from Virgil van Dijk himself with him stating that he is in touch with the club in relation to a contract, although there's no sort of breakthrough on that yet, unfortunately. But I'd imagine that might come soon. But we're going to jump into the topics on that. And Jay, you mentioned to me earlier that you feel like one of them gets done before or at least after the Arsenal game. Do you still feel that? And do you think it'll probably be Virgil, or do you think Trent will get done first?
No, I don't think Trent's first. I think Virgil will be the first one done. And I don't know why. I've just got a weird feeling that after Arsenal, especially if we beat them, I just think we'll announce one. I don't know why. I just think it might be me because of feel-good factor. I don't know.
That's definitely you in your head with a feel-good factor. You just feel it in your balls. Like, that's the only reason that you're thinking that. Tom, with this, you've been somebody that's been a little bit critical over the past couple of weeks anyway, with at least have them enter into conversations with the club. And some of the rebuttals that you've received from me included is we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Obviously, we heard about the Trent stuff. We've heard about we've seen Kanate is just about to sign his deal. Kwanzaa signed his deal. There's a lot of work going on behind closed doors. Are you any more settled in relation to how the club has gone about this, or do you still feel that inaction has led us to this point and there should have been action sooner?
I'd take your point. I'd take other points about, they got to kind of see what the new manager's like, and, it's a big decision on the contract. Van Dijk itself, the last contract, so, they got to kind of take things into account. I just think it's a bad look on the club, to be honest. Arguably three best players all getting to this stage of the contract. I just don't think it looks good on the club. Personally, I think it's poor management, which is, I think it's been the case the last couple of years, really. I think, we were the blueprint at one point a few years ago, how to run a football club. But I think, we're not badly run, but I just think we've fallen off a lot in that sense the last couple of years. But I'm confident on Van Dijk, especially. I just think, where else would he go? Can't see him going to Saudi. I can't, it's too early to go back to Holland or whatever. So I just think Van Dijk's, I'm, almost certain he gets done. Not too worried about Trent either. I just can't see Trent going on a free. I just think he'd be a brave man to do it. As you said,
he really would.
So I can't see that. And then Salah's the one I'm not confident on. I just think the age and the wages he's on. I'd be absolutely gutted to lose him, but I just can't see all three signing at this stage. And I think he's the one that's probably going to go. Confidence on the other two plus Salah, I am a bit concerned about. The only thing with Salah is obviously the records he's chasing. I'd like to think he's desperate to chase some of them records down. And he does strike me as that type of player that, but he's really, really hungry to break any records he can. So that gives me a bit of hope. But like I said, I think he's the one to go, if any.
Yeah, I think so as well. And to be honest, there's plenty of records he could break between now and the end of the season. Jay, it was me and you that were mentioning earlier on of how close he is to Thierry Henry. He's 13 goals away from equaling Thierry Henry. He's already equaled him in assists so far in the Premier League. Kev, one thing that he has as well is he's one. So Wayne Rooney has 36 games where he has a goal and an assist. Mo Salah has 35 games where he has a goal and an assist, and he's played about 200 games less, which is madness. So that's it. By the end of the career that he has with Liverpool, it's just going to be consistently, and only Mo Salah has whatever stat you want to pick out of it. How out of the three, who are you the most confident that we keep? Obviously, we see Virgil's in talks, Trent is in talks. There's been zero talk about, obviously, Salah, although his agent has kind of said anything that you hear from any journalist is waffle. How are you on a scale of 1 to 10 with all three of them? Has it increased or decreased as the weeks have gone on with any of them?
0 with all three. No, I would. I still think 2 out of the 3 will be done. relatively what the lads have said. I only concur what they've said already and what you yourself have said. And what I've said previously, I do think it'll be 2 out of 3. I think it's the 2 that we have been talking about, and the one that we know that could be possibly will go, which will be Salah, which will be a shame. But we've got to make the most of it. I think Trent may be done on the 27th of December, or Van Dijk. I agree with Jay about that. I could like to see one of them done after the Arsenal game, especially if we win. And then a nice little Christmas present with Trent. But we're going to have ups and downs and roller coasters along the way, because the journalists need the clickbait, and we're quite willing to react the way that they want us to. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's one of them where you're just kind of sitting and waiting, and the problem is that we're kind of left in the dark about it, and it's one of them that you're just kind of, as we've mentioned with Trent, it's just fucking tell us if you're going to stay or you're going to go. Like, stop this fucking pussyfooting about the place. Just answer. Like, I'd have more respect for him if he just said, I'm done, I've won everything, I want to go to Madrid. And I'd be like, cool, no problem. Sit in the bench and we'll play Bradley for the rest of the season. That's basically the way that I look at it, realistically. And to be honest, I don't think there'd be many that would think different on that. Maybe a couple of people in the group chat with keeping Trent in there, which I think would be stupid myself, to be perfectly honest with you. Before we jump on to a couple of the other topics, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure to always have your notifications on for any future streams and videos so that you never miss out. We are live all of this week from 7 p.m. other than Wednesday this week, and that's it. So it's 7 p.m. other than Wednesday, because we'll have our post-game stream because the Liverpool game is on at 8 o'clock that evening. So we'll just be on after that stream, where after we play Leipzig and beat Leipzig, which I am very, very confident in us doing. But something that's been sort of said by an ex-player of ours, former Liverpool defender, Steve, what the fuck is his name? I'm after forgetting it.
Nicol.
I had his quote. Yeah, that's him. Yeah. So where is it? Steve Nicol, the former Liverpool defender, was the Joe Gomez of his day. If anybody is in the chat that did see him play, he was very, very good. Probably one of our best defenders ever, and like the likes of Jamie Carragher would have had him in a top 11 as well. So you'd like to think that he'd have some ball knowledge, but he was sort of quoted today as saying that he wasn't really impressed with us against Chelsea. I don't enjoy Liverpool at home at Anfield against anybody sitting back and trying to play counter-attacking football, because that's what it was. Jay, are we really arsed about how we play as long as we get 3 points, or do you want to see us playing an entertaining style of football and getting the 3 points? Which is more important to you?
The one thing I'd say about Steve Nicol is, and not even just because of yesterday, he might have been a great player, but he's an even bigger arsehole. Like, on ESPN, mate, honestly, like, every time I've seen him on it, I just think, I can't stand him. Obviously, 3 points is the most important come the end of the season. If you get the most 3 points out of anyone, then you win the league. But obviously, you do want to play attractive football as well. But it's not as if we parked the bus yesterday. In my opinion, yesterday, we let Chelsea control possession because they weren't really doing anything with it. They had some nice patterns of play, but they didn't really create any chances. The only one really was obviously the one Jones blocked. And then at the very end, Neto put that cross in there and Kunku can't quite reach. Other than that, I'd say we were fairly safe. So yeah, they might have had more possession, but it weren't as if we were just sitting in there waiting to counter or anything like that. I think we honestly let them have the ball because they weren't doing much with it.
Yeah, it seems to be that way because, Tom, when you take a look at the statistics of it here, 43% possession to 57, XG of 1.63 to 0.93. The shots is where you kind of see a massive difference there, where we had 8, they had 12. And then you take a look at the shots on target. One of them was a goal, and the other one was a save by Kelleher, basically. 5-2. One thing that we always had a gripe with last season was that we weren't clinical enough and getting enough shots on target. We take 20 shots and have 5 of them on target. Now it's been reduced down to taking 10 or 8 and having 5, 6, or 7 on target. It's much, much more efficient. Would you be in agreement that we kind of parked the bus a little bit yesterday? or was it a horses for courses situation where it was a tactical decision to allow them to try and create something with the ball and sit back and let them give us the ball, so to speak?
Yeah, it's a funny one. It quite surprised me, to be fair, when I saw the stat, because like I said on the chat, I just thought, and there was never a time I thought we weren't winning that game, to be honest. Like, even though they controlled possession, I just thought we controlled the game in a weird kind of way. Obviously, when they equalised, we got the other end and score, but that's just how I felt the whole game. I just felt if we needed to go up another gear, we would, and we did. So, yeah, Steve Nicol is a helmet. We all know that. ESPN just it's even worse than TalkSport, I think. So yeah, I don't think he's ever come up with a good bit of analysis, to be honest. So wouldn't read into what he's saying. And yeah, like I said, for me, we controlled the game, even though they can pass the ball around all they want, but never really felt threatened, to be honest. I thought the whole back four defended quite well. Robbo at times looked a bit shaky against Madueke, but apart from that, I just thought I never felt threatened by them at all, really. And as I said, we always had other gears to go to. So yeah, I thought wouldn't have any complaints with the playing style, to be honest. We got the win.
Yeah.
Didn't exert ourselves too much by doing it. So yeah, I can't complain.
Yeah, as you said, it didn't seem like we got out of second or third gear, that we could have gone up another couple of levels if we wanted to. Philip here mentioning, not ours as long as we get 3 points, but we have been playing well. Yesterday, we were letting Chelsea have the ball in safe areas where they couldn't really hurt us. Realistically, if you went and you took a look at the shot chart, the only dangerous one was the ball that got played through that was onside by like the width of Konate's boot, if not even that. And that could have been very easily saved as well. I think Kelleher could have done better in that situation, personally. The only other one then that I thought looked threatening was Cole Palmer's shot from kind of outside the box, where it just floated over the top of the bar. He's going to have one of them a game at minimum. So that being his only one and a low percentage chance at that, I'll take that every day of the week. It's the third game he's played against us in all competitions, and he's failed to register a goal or an assist against Liverpool. Us and Villa are the only two teams he's failed to register a return on. So he's scored against everybody else or got an assist against everybody else. Who you calling Paul Scholes? I didn't want to name names, but who the fuck you calling Paul Scholes? But Kev, our tactics this season would you say they're drastically different than last season with Klopp, or is it like a new adaptation of what Klopp had?
I think we're playing a lot more compact, a lot more composed. I think we've learned a lot from the Forest game, because it was in a similar scenario. We didn't rush back McAllister or Diaz from international break, so you'd end up playing those players. That's why Curtis gets in, plays really well, and I think we learn from that. I think sometimes I know where everyone feels about Chelsea at the minute. I think they've got a really good, strong squad, and to play them this early on, I'd rather be playing them now when they are mixed and not firing all that well, because they are going to be some side. And I'll be honest, they've got quality players. I thought Lavia had a good game for them. I thought the weakness was down our left hand side. I thought Trent coped well and managed Sancho as well as he could, but I think we didn't help ourselves with our pressing. I hate this goal kick scenario that we're doing at the minute, because we're just getting ourselves in trouble. There was times yesterday where we're giving the ball back straight away, immediately. Midfielders aren't moving enough. I think it's different to wonder what Klopp's got. I think yesterday there would be an opportunity for us to either draw or get beat if we played the Klopp style and manner. But I do think we are a little bit more meticulous. We create better chances than as you alluded to, with 20 chances that we often would create. I thought overall we played well. I think we gave them possibly a bit too much respect at times, but I thought, as Jake said, they didn't really, although they had the possession, they didn't really create that much. And if we're honest, Keller wasn't really that overdone and wasn't being utilised as much. I do think he could have done better with the goal, but that's just me personally. And I think that's one of those scenarios that we talk about when when Alisson's not in the team, because I think the presence of Alisson possibly is a little bit more than what Kelleher is in that situation. I don't know. But it's all ifs and buts, and it adds to the opinion, doesn't it? But I do think it's slightly different. I think Slot's learned from the last international break and coming back against Forest, as alluded to. But, it's good at the minute. I think it's great that Curtis had the game that he did. I think he has to be consistent. Now, he needs not to get overconfident of what his game was. He has to do that consistently. He does that consistently. He starts, or he forces the opportunities to be in the starting 11, but he's got to do that on a consistent level. One-off games, he can't be doing it, but I think we respected the team that we were playing. We knew it was high quality, and you saw that, and I think at times we are going to do that. I think the only time we were a little bit undercut is when Pedro Neto came on, because he was just like Speedy Gonzalez, and there was nothing we could do. But I do think, if you look at it with our game management, especially with our substitutions, I thought the substitutions made a difference more so than what theirs did. They make 3 substitutions after they score. They've lost the momentum in a way then, because then that puts them, and because of those 3, I think that's the reason why they concede so quickly after they've got the equaliser. I do think that we needed Joe Gomez on, and I think it was the right time to do that. I think it could have been done a little bit earlier, but again, I think every substitution we made was the right one. I think there was the time for McAllister to come on, and that's what we've done. We've done the same. I would have liked Gakpo to have stayed on, but I understand, take him off, get Diaz on there. And I thought Nunez did well when he came on as well. I thought he played well. He didn't do what we were expecting, which was, there was a time, there was an element I thought he was going to bring down one of their players. I think it was Caicedo he was running through when he was on a yellow. He still needs to get that football intelligence for me. But other than that, I thought he had a great game. He helped out. He done what he was asked to do. And he played well, and you can't ask for more. The ball he played out to, I think, Gakpo was unbelievable in the first half. He was setting players up, and that's what we want to see. And I think overall we are seeing a different kind of way we played under Klopp, but it's getting better as we go. But at times you've got to give these teams a bit of respect, I think, and that's what we did yesterday, and it worked in our favour, because they couldn't deal with the low block. They didn't create that much chances, but we took ours, and that's, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. At the end of the day, when you look at the charts at the end of the season, it's going to say Liverpool 1-2-1. It's not going to allude to all these things. That a great player, but lacks the style and the manner when he talks. So it's a shame, really, because he was a quality player, Steve Nicol.
Yeah, it's the way that I look at it is like, as you mentioned, Kev, like if at the end of the season, when we look back on a list of results, there's not going to be an asterisk beside Chelsea of 1-2-1 but played a low block. Who gives a shit? Like, we got 3 points at the end of the day, and that's the way that I look at it. Jay, just on the discussion of topics and everything, or not topics, tactics, should I say? Excuse me. It almost seems like Slot took a page out of Nottingham Forest book and was like, this really hurt us the last time we came back from an international break. Wouldn't it just be sickening if I did that to somebody else? And that kind of seems what he'd done, because we did play a little bit deeper than we normally would if you take a look back at some of the heat maps and everything. Like, Nunez's average position in the game was the CDM position, which was nuts. Like, do you think that was possibly a byproduct of us coming back off international break and needing to possibly be more defensive, to be more secure, and just sort of not survive the game, but Chelsea thinking that we might come out and try and push up and play against them, similar to the Brighton game that happened a while ago, if you remember, where it was very back and forth and it ended up being 4-2. This is very much more like us against Forest, where they found it very difficult to break down a low block.
Yeah, I think it was that. I think there's a couple of reasons for it, to be honest. One, I don't think he wanted it to be a typical Liverpool, Chelsea, Klopp style game. Because even when we won the League Cup, I think Lukaku scored a hat-trick offside. So that game is literally just chance. I think Slot wanted to avoid that, because I think if you did try and match what Chelsea were doing in terms of playing and trying to control possession, it would have been a back and forth, like an NBA game, a basketball game. I think also it was, arguably, he keeps saying, obviously, we haven't had a proper test. I think he's seen this as the first real test, and it was at Anfield, and he's lost to Forest at Anfield, and he's probably thinking, I don't want to lose my first big test, because that's when everyone's going to start saying, oh, he's fell at the first proper hurdle that he's had against Chelsea, and then all the plaudits to be going towards Chelsea and Marquesa. So I do think that that would have been the plan, to be honest, rather than it being a back and forth game. I think they were just wanted to keep. It's like Tom said, they might have had possession, but it's not as if you were thinking, oh, we're holding on here, we're holding on. We weren't holding on. The only chances, like you said, was Palmer, the Neto cross at the end, and the Jones block. Other than that, I mean, if you can tell me another chance, then maybe.
Palmer free kick.
Was that close? I can't even remember. It was
No, it hit the wall.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's not a fucking chance, is it? So yeah, and I was with what Tom said earlier, that there was never a point in the game where I thought, we need to get a grip here. I felt like we were giving them control because we were happy for them to have control because they were doing nothing with it. But I do think part of it, like I say, he did rest two players. Well, all the South American lads who'd done loads of travelling. So I think that defo was in the back of his mind. And like I say, I think he just wanted to make sure as well that he did win what was his first hurdle, if you will, a proper start, because Chelsea have been doing well.
Yeah. Tom, would you think it was a safe play to go with that sort of a more defensive setup? Or was this... It's probably a combination of the two, but was this more of a tactical setup and a tactical choice rather than a safe setup and a safe choice? Because obviously he's seen how the Brighton game went and how back and forth that was. As Jay mentioned, it would have been like a basketball game. Was this a situation where it was like horses for courses, where it's just, look, we know what they're going to try and do. We might as well sit back and let them run themselves ragged and pass all around us. And if we sit and we're defensively solid, we're going to get chances on the break. And that's kind of why I wanted Nunez to start, for how they played their high line, because whatever you can say about his finishing, his pace alone would have petrified that back four, and that they would have had to have stayed another 4 or 5 yards further back than they would have wanted to. How did you sort of see us with the setup? Was it a safe option that we had, or was it a tactical option, or how did we go about it?
Yeah, I thought it was just smart, to be honest. Actually, I quite liked it in a way, because it shows we can play in different ways. Whereas with Klopp, you never really see us playing that kind of way. So even though you want to see us play attacking football, obviously it's actually really nice to see that we can play different styles to kind of suit different circumstances. So yeah, like I said, I'm really not too fussed about how we played. I wouldn't even call it a defensive performance. I think it was just pragmatic. It was smart. We knew they weren't going to do anything. They weren't going to do anything with the ball. So we got so many games coming up. Why we going gung ho. Got the goal up, sit in. Obviously, they got a goal back. We scored straight away, and then we controlled. As I said, even though they had the ball, I felt like we still controlled the game, and we had another gear to go down. So yeah, for me, I was really happy to see that we actually can play in different ways. Big away games. You can maybe adopt that approach as well, and that could pay dividends for us. So yeah, I think Slot is quite tactically flexible. I think he showed that yesterday. So I was happy to see that, and yeah, I was impressed. I will give Nunez credit. He was good yesterday. I did enjoy his performance. He had this kind of chaos element back, which I think he's lacked a bit lately. He's kind of tamed down a bit, but I like to see that chaos element back at him. Kind of just getting into people, just being a nuisance, and that's what he does best. So I was happy to see that. I think his link-up play was decent as well. So this is his chance now. I think he's always going to be a good squad player, but in terms of nailing down at number 9, I think this is make or break time for him now. Jota, we know he can't stay fit, so we are probably going to be looking at possibly getting a number 9 in the summer, because as I said, Jota's a write-off really. So Nunez, he needs to show now in this run of games that he's going to get. He needs to show his worth, because otherwise, I think his time is nailing down that number 9. I think it's done for him. So yeah, like I said, I think impressed with him yesterday. He needs to keep that up, and yeah, it's make or break time for him now.
No, I won't disagree with you. It is probably make or break time with him, but the way that I look at it he played an absolutely fantastic game yesterday, and he basically done an awful lot of the dirty work. And he came off obviously for Jota at the 30th minute mark, because I think Jota has bruised ribs and he might be out for a week or two. But as you said, this is an opportunity for him now to, well, I hope it's bruised ribs. There's been no confirmation of that yet, but it's an opportunity for him now over the next couple of games to get into everything and get stuck in and properly get into it. And what was interesting is if you watched his second game for Uruguay over the international break, he nearly done the exact same thing. He didn't get a goal or anything, but won the most duels, had the best tackle success rate, a load of defensive actions, and it's almost as if Slot sent him away on international break and was like, I need X, Y, and Z from you to be my number 9. This is what you need to do to get into my team to be number 9. Because Slot has said since the start of the season, the one thing that he's mentioned every time is your duels. You need to win your duels. If you don't win your duels, you're not going to win a football game. And lo and behold, Nunez has basically been doing that, because these are Nunez's stats for the game. Accurate passes, not a lot, because he wasn't really passing. He was doing an awful lot of dirty work, but still high percentage. 2 clearances, 3 recoveries, nearly 60% of his ground duels won, and nearly 40% of his aerial duels won, which is over 50% of his total duels won, which is nuts for a striker, first of all, because he's not usually meant to be involved in that. But not alone that, he also had 8 different defensive actions in the game in 60 minutes, which is nuts again for a striker. And he was spraying passes left, right, and center, which is why I've tried to be singing his praises for so long, in that he's more than what Haaland is, or he can be more than what Haaland is. Because as you've seen, when Haaland goes quiet, and he has for the past 3 game weeks, City have struggled massively, especially without Rodri and especially without Kevin De Bruyne. So Haaland isn't receiving the same service that he normally would be the past 3 weeks. And all of a sudden now City look very, very, very vulnerable in that. Whereas yesterday when Nunez was on, and his link-up play and his passing and his dual wins and his pressing, we looked way better than we have. I say way better. We looked in this game against this opposition way better against Chelsea than we would have had with Jota, because there was a couple of times that Jota, I think it was early on in and I don't know if this was after Jota kind of got fallen on or not, and he couldn't kind of keep up, but I think it was Salah that was there was a beautiful pass paid over to the right hand side, and Salah was away down the wing by himself. Jota was jogging at half pace behind him and losing ground, whereas if you had somebody like Nunez there, Nunez is basically nearly in the back of Salah's pocket at that point asking for the ball. So it'll be interesting to see how the next couple of games go and how Nunez kind of grows into this role, because if he continues to play like he did yesterday, I can see him keeping that starting position and Jota being the super sub that he always has been realistically. Jamie Hughes is mentioned here in the chat, and I'll throw it around to everybody of what would we think the length of Virgil van Dijk's contract would be. For me, I'd imagine it'll be a 2+1, so 2 years and a third year add-on. Whether that's player option or club option remains to be seen, but I reckon it'll be a 2+1. He'll be here till he's 36 and can be reassessed then at that point. Kev, what do you think with that? Would that be somewhat similar of your own opinion as well, or do you think 4 or 5 year contract? How long do you think we should give it?
8-year contract with an option of a further 5 if you want. No, it'll be 3. It'll be 3, as you say. Similar to yourself, or it'll be a full-out 3.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Realistically, the three seems about right. Yeah, I see you mentioned in the chat as well that you said 3 with an option of an additional. Is that 3 total, or is that 3 with an option for a 4th?
3 with an option of a 4th. I think Thiago Silva went on forever. Virgil's far a lot better than him physically, in my opinion, and he's at a higher level anyways. And Thiago was boss, by the way. I'm not throwing shade at him. He was a brilliant player, Thiago Silva, in his prime. But I think Van Dijk's got at least 3 years at the top, and then if you give an additional year in the 3rd season, if he's still showing these levels, well then give it in the players' park and our park, where if we want to extend him, we can, and if he wants to stay another year in the Prem or fancies a trip somewhere else, then we've got that option and haven't got to worry. We can plan for that then. But I still think he's got 3 years at the very top. The way he's playing now, he looks as good as ever. And he's older than ever. So, yeah, I'd keep him at least another 3, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's going to age quite gracefully. Very similar to Trent in his play style. I think Trent could play for another 10 years until he's 35, which is why I'm a little bit wary of handing him Salah money on this particular deal, because it prices you out of his next deal that he's going to end up getting. And at that point, then I suppose you'd hope Bradley'd have come along, but as well at the same time, you'd want to keep Trent for as long as you possibly can. And as Jamie's mentions here on Virgil van Dijk, he doesn't rely 110% on speed, so he can obviously keep going positionally for at least the next 3 years, which isn't wrong. And I think that's it. His intelligence, his positioning, and his timing will trump any need for speed for many years to come. Tom, would you be of a similar opinion of 3-year deal and 1 add-on, or a 2-year deal and a 1 add-on?
Yeah, I'll give 3 with it, with 1 add-on. Yeah, I think there's absolutely no sign of him slowing down whatsoever, which is mad. Really, he's 34 in the summer, isn't he? So you'd obviously think he'd be slowing down a bit by now, but I just think I think, like the lads say, he looks as good as ever. Like, I think his reading of the game, just, we don't need to go over it. Like, he just ticks every single box. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think we'll ever see anything like it ever again, to be honest. Just how complete he is. It's just like, you kind of just, there's no words that can describe how good he is. It's just mad. He's just
he's not even at his best, which is the weird thing. He's not even at his best now. He used to be better, which is the even scarier thing about it.
He's 10 out of 10 in every department. Like, I don't think that's even an exaggeration. So I think, a minimum 3 years with a extra year. But I think the most they'll get is 2 years with an option of a third, given the age. Yeah,
well, I think with how he's sort of not regressed, I think the likes of Michael Edwards will be looking at him and seeing how he's sort of progressed and come back from his knee injury and everything like that, that it's probably way more sustainable football under Slot, that he will be able to play an extra year, an extra 12 months, an extra 24 months. So it could be very interesting to see. Hopefully he does. Another Jay Muse question coming in here, and Jay has already answered it as well, but we'll get around to everybody. Can slot ball, which is being more defensively responsible, win the league? I think so. And I have a very interesting stat that I'll share for everybody at the end of this, as to how well we have done defensively, considering some panel people's, not on this panel, now I'd want to preface that, some panel people's obsession with a particular London squad that only conceded 15 goals. But, Kev, I'll throw it over to you first. Like, last season, we scored more goals than we ever have in a season. However, we conceded a serious amount first. I think we conceded first in about 25 of our total games. It seems that problem has now been fixed and we've shored ourselves up defensively. A repeat of our goal scoring of last season could see us win a fucking quadruple.
Absolutely. And it's alluded to by Arnie Slot in his opening message to his interview. He hasn't come in with... He went, I'm inheriting a team that finished with 73 points or 75 points. That tells you, with a bit more tweaking, we can go a little bit further. And that's why I think he's respected what was done before. Because, let's have it right, he's got a quality squad. There's only a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done to this. And he's already done it in the first 8 games. Because in comparison, we probably conceded more than that. Probably 3 times as much, if not more. So, without having a look. So he's in a far better place. He's got a better squad than what he probably originally thought he'd have. And you look how well he's got them playing at the minute. Yeah, all right, we got beat by Forest. I think on the day we didn't deserve nothing out of the game. I think Forest played really well. And he took the goal well. So credit to them. But apart from that, I think everyone's waiting for the downfall. And they thought it would have been here now. But the longer this goes on and the longer this run goes on, there's no reason why a top 4 finish should be something that we should be looking at. We should be looking at for more, and I think that's praise to him and what it is his management and his team have done already coming in. Didn't need much. Doesn't need a narcissistical approach when you take over the team. You've got to applaud what was done before, and he's been left with a great squad. He's going to make a few tweaks. See where we are in January. I can see him making a few additions to the squad, ideally, if we can. And why not? Because we'll be going for everything. And you used to say we can't win everything. Do you know what I mean? So, no, I 100% said it at the start, and I'll say again, I think we will win it. So, bring it on.
Yeah, and Matty's the same as well, and I'm the same as well, that I think we can win everything. Paul here mentioned, and if Jones can play like he did yesterday, he should be on the first name on the team sheet. Exactly, and that's what Kev mentioned earlier on before you joined, Paul, in that he needs to be consistently at that. It's not just an in one game and then out the next 5. Like, he needs to be giving that kind of a performance every game, and I've been one of his biggest critics, and he did have an absolutely fantastic game, and I called him man of the match before the game even ended. And that's high praise coming from me, that has said that the only reason he's still in the team is because he's Scouse. So if I'm saying that, you know, he's definitely improved, or at least impressed. And obviously Paul mentioned that we're so excellent defensively yesterday, playing as a very cohesive unit. Tom, do you think we're in to win it all? You were one of the people during the summer that were, along with the likes of Willem, Damo, and a couple of others, Patricio as well, that just felt that the club was maybe lacking slight ambition in regards to how they're going about getting signings and getting people in. And maybe you felt, I know we haven't talked about it in a while, because obviously transfer window ended 2 months ago. And we're now into the teeth of the season at this point, so we're kind of not really looking back at any transfers. But given your opinion then, do you still hold the same opinion that we should have done more in the summer, or do you feel that maybe as much surgery wasn't needed and it was just slight tweaking, as Kev mentioned?
Yeah, I think it was just a 6 that I was thinking, really. Obviously, none of us saw what Gravenberch was going to do coming. So, you know, obviously after seeing that, yeah. I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe Slot didn't know what he was doing there, and you know, it's turned out well in the end. But you know, as equally, if Gravenberch is to get an injury, then I think, yeah. I mean, I don't want to say the title race would be over, but I think if he was out for like a long period of time, I think, you know, Endo, as much as I do like Endo, I think if you're playing Endo for like 10, 15 games, I really think you'd struggle to win the league in that case. So I still would have liked to have seen us get someone in that position, just as quality cover. But yeah, I mean, if Gravenberch can stay fit, which obviously he hasn't really done too much over the last couple of years, let's hope he can do that. But if he can stay fit, then there's absolutely no reason why, you know, we can't really challenge this league, because generational players still here. Alisson, Trent, Virgil, Salah, like, these are players that just don't come around very often. So we've got to make the most of it. We've obviously got one league title to our name. You know, in this era, and as I said the other day, I'd be quite gutted if we finish this era with these generational players with only one league. So, yeah, for me, even though it's, you know, Slot's first season or whatever, top 4 should be a given with the quality we've got. So for me, I want to see minimum a real title challenge, because you think about last year, end of March, beginning of April, we were favourites for the title when City and Arsenal drew that game 0-0. That title was basically in our hands. Then obviously it all came crashing down, but that shows you, you know, we can go very deep into the season, you know, really going for the title. So, yeah, I think I'm confident of at least one or two trophies, maybe a couple or two. And yeah, don't see any reason why we can't really challenge the title, especially with Rodri out for the season. That's a massive game changer. So, yeah, really want to see us go for the league this year.
Yeah, as do I. Jay Muse just mentioned, and please know the UK daylight savings time has just hit. It hasn't actually, Jay Muse, yet. It's going back on the 27th, so this weekend coming. We'll be going back an hour. We're just on from 7 p.m. all of this week, bar Wednesday, just purely because of availability of hosts and everything like that. We'll be back to 7:30 again, UK time, as of this day next week, so don't stress about that. Jay, just to comment on slot ball and the defensive side of things. as I said to Kev, like we conceded first 25 times last season, and that caused massive problems for us in trying to chase games when we were trying to be the controller of a game and then immediately lose control within the first 20 minutes of the game. You're immediately on the back foot, and then that just causes strikers and forwards and everybody to panic a little bit extra and snap at a shot that split second sooner and maybe miss it, which could be attributed to an awful lot of our missed chances last season as well. But that being said, it has really shored up the defense. And to put it into context, this is the stat that I had. The year Chelsea only conceded their 15 goals, on average, that works out at 0.39 goals conceded per 90. Liverpool at the minute are conceding 0.29 goals per 90. So we're tracking better than the record-breaking Chelsea team defensively. Do you see that form continuing, or do you see us conceding more than 15 this season? And how do you see the rest of the season kind of unfolding that way? It's kind of hard to judge at this point because we haven't really played any of the quote-unquote big dogs, so to speak.
That's pretty much exactly what I was going to say, mate. I'm made up with what Slot's doing and everything looks brilliant so far. But it looked like that for Spurs last season after 10 games. I think they won 9 out of 10. And everyone was raving. And look, I am excited and I think it will carry on. But I just don't want us to get ahead of ourselves yet. We're not 10 games into the season. Yeah. When Muse asked earlier, can you win the league being defensive? Absolutely. You've just first team I thought of when he asked it was Mourinho's Chelsea, who only conceded 15. Many a time they were just winning games 1-0 or by a goal. If you don't concede, you can't lose, and people forget that. You know, even if you play poor, if you keep a clean sheet, you only need a set piece. You only need a mistake. A chance can come from nowhere. How many times have we battered the side and they've had one chance against us and took it? And like you've just said, mate, when we can see first, you put yourself under an enormous amount of pressure. Your game plan sort of has to change straight away. It causes anxiety amongst the players anyway. It always causes anxiety in the stadium, which always transcends to the players, I think, especially at Anfield. So I do think we can carry it on because every game you feel like you're in a stat of it's the least shots Liverpool have conceded this game, that game. And even the chances we are conceding, they're not really big chances. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I felt like we let Chelsea have the ball because the chances were minimal. Our XG was higher even though we'd have less shots. So, no, I think we can continue it, to be honest. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because we're not 10 games in, but all the signs are brilliant. And I'm up for playing some games more methodically and being more calculated about the game, because if it wins the game, who's asked? Yesterday, for me, winning a defensive performance, I don't think like we sat back and just let Chelsea attack us all game. That weren't how it was. We had some lovely patterns of play throughout the game, and we did create the better chances. So I'd be more than happy to continue the season playing the way we did against Chelsea if it's going to win you the game, because come the end of the season, you're going to be there or thereabouts. So early days, but yeah, all the signs are there that I think we can keep doing that to the end of the season. Hopefully, as long as we don't have any too many injuries, obviously, because that can mess it about, obviously, if you have a big one.
Yeah, exactly. And to take a look at the XG numbers that you mentioned, the biggest XG differences so far this season in the Premier League. In 5th place is Arsenal with plus 5.17. Just above them is Chelsea with plus 5.79. Then there's Man City in 3rd with plus 5.86. And then away ahead in 1st and 2nd, we've Tottenham in 2nd with plus 8.03 and Liverpool with plus 9.64. We've almost a plus 10 difference in expected goals for versus against, which is absolutely nuts considering like it's the same team as last season that was conceding so much, and just how a slight tweak in the system can allow that. And Gerard Houllier mentioned it when he was manager way back in the early 2000s. The less goals you can see, the less goals you have to score. If we finished the rest of the season all with 1-0 victories, who's fucked? Like, who cares? You're lifting a trophy at the end of the season and everybody's saying, oh, well, you parked the bus. So what? Laugh at the trophy. Big whoop. Do we look like we care? That kind of a way. We did. If you don't like it, beat us. Oh no, you couldn't. Sorry, because we're league champions. Good luck to you. Question that was thrown in here for Jay Muse, and I'll throw it around to everybody on the panel as well. And obviously, Rafa Benitez mentioned it as well in another way. He did indeed. Kevin, the panel, would you take a draw at the Emirates, or with Saliba out, do you think they're ripe for the picking, Kev?
I think they're there for the taking, to be honest. And why would you go into a game that's slightly negative looking for a draw? I think if you look at what we done yesterday and how we played players who were in our squad rather than our the first 11 players, it's kind of like refreshing to see, because it's kind of like playing 4D chess a week earlier, in the fact that we've rested McAllister, we've rested Diaz, and the changes we made has then given us the opportunity to beat Chelsea. And then that sends a fear factor to the likes of Arsenal and everyone going, well, wait there, they weren't even playing the best 11 and they still won. So for me, I'll go there. I hope Saliba gets his thing overturned, because I want to play. I don't want them to have an excuse of, well, Saliba's out, so you wouldn't have won. I'd rather go there and play their best 11. And I think we, like for like, I think we come away with something. If it's a win, happy days. I'm happy with that. And I think we need to do that. I think last season we lost there. I think we need to improve on, especially the so-called top six sides. But I'm going in with that with confidence. Our form has shown that we should be slightly favourites for it. We're 4 points ahead. We've got an opportunity to go 7. I think the only change I'll be looking at making is probably Slobberslike, and I'll probably bring someone in for him, because I don't think, he was inconsistent yesterday for my liking. If there's an alternative there, then bring someone in. But I'm quite happy with our starting 11, and I fancy us against anyone, to be honest.
Would you do Jones there instead of him and have him and McAllister kind of rotate?
It does give you the option to do that. I think yesterday bodes well for Curtis Jones, because it gives Slot the opportunity and confidence to know that I can rely on him more so than what he did before the Forest game. Because if you look at that Forest game, he didn't fancy anyone. He wanted to play the starting 11, and you look at how that turned out. I think he's learned his lesson, and you look at what his form is yesterday. He deserves an opportunity. Now, where that comes, what I like this season is the players are stepping up when they've been asked to, and they've come in and done a job, and they know that if they do a good job, then there's an opportunity of getting an opportunity to play more games within this side. Kwanzaa's the one that has probably missed out a lot, because he missed his duels, comes off half time. We've hardly seen him since, and that shows you how ruthless we've got to be. It's that's a gauntlet down to everyone, and that's why I think you see Nunez playing the way he did yesterday, because he goes, right, okay, so I'm coming on now. I've got to start doing something, and he done something different that we've seen from him. He was chaotic, but it was an organised chaos. He was doing what he had to do, and defensively minded, you couldn't ask for more from a forward. He done what Ian Rush would do: get back, help out, and try and set things off, which he did. It's great, and he's got a passing range in his locker. But no, I go to the Emirates, and I expect them to be favourites, but I fancy us to win, absolutely.
Yeah, I do as well, and I think Nunez made a case for himself to start going forward until he loses that form. And I think Jones, like Jay, you've been one of Szoboszlai's biggest critics this season alone, and with that midfield three of Jones, McAllister, and Gravenberch, I think that has a penchant for starting against Arsenal, and probably could do very well, considering Arsenal are basically looking like they're playing 4 centre backs and 3 CDMs going forward now, which is just absolutely atrocious football in my own opinion. But with us, with more ball playing midfielders like a Jones, like a McAllister, and like a Gravenberch, would you be happier with that midfield three based on recent performances?
Jones starts next game 100%. You can't put a performance in like that and drop a player, because what's that say to the rest of the squad, and what's it say to him? Like, I've put in a performance like that and I can't get in the starting 11, and for me, Look, I know everyone goes, oh, Szoboszlai, this and that. He hasn't got a brain, lad. Yesterday, we're up by, yesterday, we're up by a goal and he's trying like little dink passes over the top, 5 yards away towards our own goal, where it'd cause a counter-attack straight away if he gives the ball away. He just lacks a brain for me. And for me now, I think it's been half a slot to rotate, to be honest, at times. With the players we've had, the performance Jones put in there for me, I'd still play Szoboszlai against Leipzig, but for Arsenal it'd be Jones, Grav, and I'd put Mac in the 10. I want to see Mac in the 10. He's been brilliant for us playing this 6 role, but we're losing a lot of what he's about, and that's his passion going forward, his ability to shoot, mate. He will actually hit a ball. The thing about Szoboszlai is the ball's there screaming, hit me. And he just doesn't. He like tries to pass it to Salah. And then when there's a congested box with like 15 people in it, he goes, I know, I'll have a dig. Like, he just doesn't have a football brain for me. And you can all talk about how good he is at running. Like, fucking hell, mate. That's the most basic part of your game, running.
Might as well have got Conor Gallagher.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, lad. I think Szoboszlai's got more ability than that, but we don't see it consistently. Like, even the effort he has on goal, if that's for Hungary, I'm guaranteeing you it's going top left bin. He's just a different animal for Hungary than he is here. Whether it's because the pressure's not on him as much there, I don't know. But Jones 100% has to start the next game. Don't get me wrong, Jones has to keep that up. It's not as if, like, you've had one good game, you're now a starting 11 player going forward. But if he maintains that level of performance, mate, there's no way you get dropped. So for me, for Arsenal, I'm 100% as I've grabbed Jones and Mac in the 10 for me personally.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Like I've been one of Jones' biggest critics, Tom, throughout this season so far, and that in the preseason, I said it, like Jones came out in an interview and he said that this sort of style suits him, and he's had a bit of a woeful start. And as Kev mentioned, he needs to be consistent. He can't have 1 game on and 5 games off, because that seems to be the way that he's gone for the past while. And I personally, I still think he's the same player that he was 4 years ago, and that's all well and good. But you'd kind of be hoping, okay, it's time to take the next step. And to be honest, he has a golden opportunity here to do that over the next couple of games. Would you be of a similar opinion to Jay as well as myself of not so much not starting him against Arsenal, but not starting him against Leipzig, letting Dom go and play against Leipzig? Or would you start Jones against Leipzig and then again against Arsenal? Is it just a clear cut, throw him in next game, and if he redoes his performance, well, it's his spot now?
Yeah, I play him in both because I think he needs the games, doesn't he? You know, he's not been a bit of a bit part player so far this season, so I think if you are going to play him against Arsenal, you have to play him against Leipzig as well to get him up to speed for that game. I think I agree. The performance he put in yesterday, you can't not play him next week, especially how Szoboszlai's playing. I think probably best part of the year now, really, isn't it? That he's been poor, to be honest with you. So I think it's time for he gets to run out the team. You know, there is one part of me that thinks, you know, by changing winning formula, you know, obviously it's been working so well, and he has been a part of that. So why change it in a way? And you know, Jones, Arsenal away, I wouldn't say that's the most kind of game he's suited to. I think Jones, you're more kind of thinking like the home games against. You know, a bottom half team where you're going to have a lot of the ball. You can use his creativity, you can use his like progression with the ball. His defensive discipline isn't really something he's kind of, you know, renowned for. So that kind of concerns me a little bit in a game like against Arsenal away, when you might not have as much of the ball, and you do need to be on guard defensively. I think he lacks a bit of that, but I think like Jay said, you can't put a performance in like that and be benched next game, especially with how Szoboszlai's playing. I think he has to start. So yeah, grab Jones and McAllister, I think, for me. And I'd wouldn't say wholesale changes against Leipzig, but not far off it, because I just think, you know, we've won our first 2 Champions League games. We've still got a few favourable matches left. And Arsenal away is one of the biggest games you'll have all season. So for me, I'd make 5-6 changes in the week and really just make sure we're properly 100% for Sunday, which I wouldn't take a draw, because I think, you know, we're in such a good run of form at the moment. They're not in such a good run of form. Two most important players, arguably Saliba and Odegaard, both out. So I think this is you got to take this chance. You know, it reminds me of City Arsenal last year when it was 0-0, wasn't it? And Arsenal City were on a bit of a dodgy patch, and Arsenal really should have gone there and just just gone for it, and they didn't. They bottled it, and they, it's ended up costing them the title. So I'm kind of thinking about that as well. I think, the moment we're both in, I think we've got to go for this, and we've really got to put a marker down. I think if we do come away with a winner, then people are really, really going to start taking us seriously then.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think that they are there for the taking. And as you pointed out, that you'd be worried about Arsenal going forward against us. I think currently on the form that they're in, they've been hit with a couple of haymakers and they're reeling at the moment. I think they do the exact same thing as they did against Bournemouth, where they play 4 centre-backs and 3 CDMs and park 7 men in front of the box. And leave it at that. Like I like, there was a time there was Champions League games. Who was the last Champions League game that they played? It was Shakhtar Donetsk, I think, was the last Champions League game that they played. And
I don't think it is. They're playing them on Tuesday, aren't they? They're playing them.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to see who else it was, because they were at home in the Champions League, and I can't remember who it was against.
Is this Arsenal? He beat PSG, didn't he?
Yeah, it was PSG, but there was other games like at home, like they won 2-0, but they done similarly to what we did to Chelsea, where, like, if you look at the momentum of the game itself on FootMob, and I'm looking at it here now, like they did 6 shots in total in one big chance, and that's it. Like, they really shouldn't have won that game at all. And that's probably just down to PSG being a bit wank, to be honest with you. But they had 35% possession at home in a Champions League game.
That's how they've been playing this season, though. They've been doing that, Arsenal haven't been the way they were last season, going for it. They have been sitting back like City did.
It's madness, to be honest with you. Like, I'm just looking at them here. Like, the Bournemouth game, look, you can't count that. They were down to 10 men. The Southampton game, like, they conceded in that game first, like, which is the mad thing. And they were dominating that game. And that's a game where they couldn't really get anything going to the second half, which was madness in itself. But I think they'll end up sitting back against us. That's just the way that as Jay, you mentioned, that they've been playing this season. Yeah. But we are going to finish it there, guys. We're coming up to the hour. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have your notifications on for all future streams and videos. We'll be back again tomorrow evening for our Leipzig pre-game stream at 7 p.m. UK time, so make sure you're around for that. And then we'll obviously have our Star Stripes and Anfield live stream on at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so make sure you're around for that as well. From myself, Tom, Kev, and Jay, thank you guys so much for joining us on this Monday evening. We're all going to go now and watch Palace take on one of the other teams that's probably one of the best defensive teams in the league in Nottingham Forest, who have the same goals conceded per 90 as Arsenal, hilariously, who are parking the bus with 11 players, which I didn't believe it when I seen it either, but they're both averaging the same amount of goals conceded. The only teams, they're right behind us. We're conceding 0.29, they're conceding 0.86. That's the gap between first and second with goals conceded. But guys, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. We hope everybody has a wonderful evening or afternoon wherever you are, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow.